She's in Australia, but I
Oh,
followed
okay.
her for years, and then I caught her one time on her. I caught her one
Alive?
time on her live, and then I
Yeah.
messaged her and she responded. Um, it was that one came out great, man. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, that's dope. That's dope. Let's check out Kiki a little bit on her Instagram and stuff. Yeah, she got. Yeah, I see Kiki. Yeah, Yeah, her thighs is incredible. Her legs, like she's wellness.
I don't know if she competes on stage. She's more like
Oh,
powerlifting
uh,
stuff. Like, and honestly, I don't want her
yeah,
to compete on stage. Like, man, like I'm so tired of. The truth is, when these girls when they start to like shred up for dieting and competing and all that, like it takes a lot of their
right,
beauty away, and they start to lose some of that. Like you see how she has some natural softness in her muscles.
right.
Whenever
Yeah,
they start to shred up too much, they lose that. And I'm like, bro, she looks better. She looks amazing already in these pictures.
yeah. I think you're the first person that I hear that from, but it's
That's because
truth.
everybody. But the truth is, just because everybody in that like female muscle and bodybuilding, these guys like the ones that like it. It's like they go to the extreme. It's like they want to see, let's see her
Yeah,
harder, and I get it too, because sometimes I want the girls to be bigger, but I don't
right,
want them to be bigger for at the sake of losing their femininity.
right.
Like she's a huge woman. She's like 5'9", and I know for a fact in the off season she's over 200 pounds. She may be heavier than me,
Mm,
just to be honest, because her legs are so
mm.
big.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I've been seeing her too. I'm like, wow, and she has this. She's a very attractive lady in the face. So
exactly.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Sorry, I mean, that it'd be cool. Like if you kind of met her and stuff,
I think it'd be
and
cool too, but I mean, I think it'd be cool
she
too, but
just
what are you about
yeah,
to say?
she's an IFBB. No, I thought you was about to say something, but she's a IFBB athlete, bodybuilder, cosplay. She's a trainer and stuff. But let's go back to your stuff. I just wanted to show the viewers, who she was, and this was who's this?
That's Tanya Luna. She's a women's
Hello?
pro football
Oh,
player.
oh, time.
Can you hear me?
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, I hear you. Yeah, yeah. I think I interviewed a lady that was a football player, and then she done like natural bodybuilding. Yeah, so yeah.
Yeah, they were
You don't
very
see too
supportive.
many huh?
I said they were very supportive. The women's football team. I'm gonna be coming back and drawing
Yeah.
at their game again in a couple weeks. Um,
Oh,
very, very supportive. Much more down to earth than what you get from women in the fitness industry.
yeah, yeah. Like, do you watch their games, the football games?
Oh, I just what's it called? Tanya Tanya met me at the Sunset Market at one of the markets I draw at.
Yeah.
She was with one of her other friends. Both of those women are actually bigger than me too. They're not taller than me, but size wise, weight wise, they're actually much heavier than I am.
Yeah.
So
It's
I was like, I'm drawing these big. I have these big buff women on my poster. I'm like, I might as well draw you all. So I did, and then she was like, "Hey, you should come," and that's Tanya right there. She's like, "You
okay.
should come and draw one of our games," and I was like, "Sure, I can do that."
Yeah. Yeah, I just wanted to see the football players, chicks and stuff. Yeah, you drew a lot of women. Yeah, yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I noticed that you. Yeah, you was on the you said you had to say a lot on this podcast here. Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't make it. I didn't stay because I had to go see it was pertaining to my father, so I couldn't really stick around too much. Yeah,
No problem.
yeah. Yeah, I seen this chick earlier, and she was squatting this dude. Like she picked him up and she was squatting him. Like she did like maybe like 5 squats of picking
Yeah,
this dude
Jamie.
up, man.
Yeah, she's
Yeah,
super
she's
strong.
kind of strong. Yeah, I,
Nah,
I want
she's
to see
she's
if I,
really strong.
I see.
She ain't kind of strong.
Yeah,
She's
yeah,
really she.
yeah. I didn't know she was that strong like that. Because I see the pictures, but it's obvious strong woman. So let me see if I see it. I don't know, but it was like wow, that was kind of impressive. I had it on my phone, but yeah, no, I just see the strong women thing. So, but anyway, yeah. So have you went to did you see the triple O?
No, no. I was
Oh,
doing a
okay.
bunch of drawing and stuff at a market. My weekends is mostly like it's drawing people to make a living, man. So like earlier today, I was at a market drawing. Yesterday, I was at a market. That's also why I missed some of the Marilyn Yee interview.
Yeah,
Um, you know, uh, that's what I be doing.
yeah,
But I'm
yeah,
I'm also I'll be honest with you, I don't care to watch bodybuilding shows like that. They're boring to me, just to be honest.
yeah,
Um, I've seen several of them in person, and I think that's one of the reasons why I eventually got bored at them. Yeah, the women are attractive and all that, but once you see the same people doing the same poses over and over and over again, it's like,
yeah.
God dang, this is boring. So, yeah,
Yeah,
bro, like,
I've just started, I just started going to these bodybuilding shows. I mean, like the last one I went to, it was cool, yeah, the double down, it was a natural, and yeah, I met Michelle Moon. I don't know if you familiar with her. I took like a picture. She's like women's physique. Yeah, so you know, yes,
it's much better in person. It's much better in person, but still, I mean, it's better too if you have someone to go with. Like the last time I went to
yeah,
a bodybuilding show was actually it was with Nikki, so I was sitting there chatting with her and then some of her friends, and that made the time go by much faster. And then me, I'm always got my drawings with me, so I would doodle. I'd go doodle sometimes with people on stage, or people in the crowd, because you will see random muscle people there. And honestly, sometimes at the bodybuilding shows, you might see more attractive muscle women in the crowd
yeah,
than
yeah,
sometimes
yeah,
more on stage.
yeah, yeah. I seen
Those
that.
there's a lot of hidden jewels in there,
Yeah,
man.
yeah. There's a lot of attractive women, and they're not on stage. I was like, I'm just looking. I'm, I didn't say anything, but I'm just looking. I remember there was this one chick, like she was coming towards me because I was at the end and I was standing because the seats was filled, and I had my camera, and for some reason. I almost kind of wanted to record her, but I was like, nah, chill. I was like, because she looked it
You can add
nice.
to that. Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know. I was like, I wasn't going to do it anyway. But I just was like, I was watching the men at the time. So yeah,
I'm gonna say this too, man. When you're at the shows, and that's why I say, like, for you, I encourage you to still, go to them whenever you can, because it can be fun. It brings a little excitement into your life. It's like the first time you get to not first time, but it's one of the few times you get to see a lot of those types of women in one gathering. So I
yeah,
get the excitement of it. But
yeah,
whenever I think too, the people who, if you're gonna talk to people, it's a lot harder to talk to the actual competitors and the ones who are shredded and all that, because they're
right,
so dieted down, depleted, and stressed out for the show. It's actually the random muscle women in the crowd who are going to be a little bit more approachable, depending on how what you're trying to
yeah.
talk to them about,
I don't
because
know,
they're
like
simply
some.
more
Oh,
normal.
not go ahead.
Now I'm just saying they're not usually they're in their off season. The ones who are attending the show,
Yeah,
they're not prep. So a lot of them have a lot more energy, or they just a lot more down to earth, less on guard, unless you're being like a creep.
yeah, right. I approached what's her name? This chick, I forgot her name already, but she's a women's physique. She's in women's physique. I forgot her name. George know who I'm talking about, but yeah, I approached her one time, and she was kind of like, do I know you? And so, because I interviewed her, but I don't know, but I had to say, I interviewed you. You know, it's not
Mm.
like she could have just said, "Hi, how you doing?" Or nah, not Michelle. I forgot that lady's name. Jessica. It'll come to me, but yeah, but the fact that I had to just explain, and she could have just said, "How you doing?" and but when we was talking, it was all right. It wasn't like any spark or nothing like that. I just kept it moving and stuff. But then like there was times where like I would see like the women they were with like their boyfriends or whoever, and so that's why I didn't really do too much approaching. So, but it was a different world. My first experience there, because like everybody looked at Jack. Like I didn't really. If I did see like if there were average people, and I did, when I recorded it, but I didn't really see too many average looking people. I just seen like bodybuilders or people that work out and stuff like that. Yeah, but
Yeah, it's not a sport that attracts the average everyday person. Neither
no, it
neither man,
doesn't.
and it's because just be truth be told, because the average everyday person would get bored of seeing that same thing over and over and over again. Yes, it's cool to
Yeah,
see the initial freakishly huge or muscular person, but it's not like say watching a sport where they're watching like
right,
a football game where you have like things that are ebbing and flowing. You got
right.
lots of action. There's none of that in a bodybuilding show. Mostly because I mean, there's a few competitors. I mean, like a small. We're talking about less. I can count them on one hand who have like literally made their show, like their performance, like a real performance. Like I've seen one really buff girl named Chris Morrell in the early 2000s. Like she
Yeah,
busted
I
out
know
like
who you
doing
can.
a hip hop. She did a bunch of hip hop dances and stuff, and she had like great muscular legs and stuff. And she looked and she could move, so it was cool. It was like, damn, that is dope. But you don't see that at bodybuilding shows. I think if you
Nah,
did see more of that, then
I think in the
bodybuilding would come.
past, in the past, like they did do some routines like there was this
Fitness.
chick. Her name was Yolanda Hughes. She was a bodybuilder, and she used to do like gymnastic techniques and all that stuff. And Corey Everson, she would dance, and like I remember this video where she's dancing to Grease, the one of the Grease songs and stuff. This was like in '87. Yeah, I mean, it ain't. I would say like the shows, back then it wasn't like how it is now. I mean, if it is, it's separate, because they got the fitness, the division where they do the flips and all that type of stuff. Yeah, so yeah.
Yeah. It's, I'll say it is.
Let me read this chat. A lot of females who do powerlifting often transition out of the sport, either bodybuilding or CrossFit. Yeah.
I
And he
mean, CrossFit
says,
has a higher injury rate than
yeah.
powerlifting, actually.
Yeah, I know CrossFit is intense itself too, you know. So
Some of them
and
women are
then
jacked, man.
yeah, they huge. They're very huge. You know any
Hmm.
CrossFit people that you like watching?
I don't watch CrossFit because that's not the fun sport for me to watch. But I have. Look, for me, when it comes to these muscle stuff, I'm
Yeah.
mainly going there to draw and to attract more patrons or people to get interested in my artwork, and to, of course, watch some attractive women. That's just to be honest. But I don't go out of my way to watch the shows and events. I have been to a CrossFit event and I did get some sales there. I was actually in the stands and they found out about me because several people in the crowd started to tell like some of the competitors and all that, and then some of them started to hire me, and even the official one of the ladies who was a part of the CrossFit games, she started like getting me like the hookup on seats and stuff. So uh, there's cool stuff like that. But in
Yeah,
terms of like going out of my way to go see CrossFit stuff, no. But when I saw the women, I was like, dang, man, y'all, some of y'all are bigger than female bodybuilders, and you're way
yeah,
more athletic, way more
yeah,
athletic. So it's kind of cool to see that.
yeah. Because they be doing them handstands. Then they do them wide pull ups and all that type of stuff. And yeah, it's a lot they be doing. Then they be picking up them sandbags and all that type of stuff. It's almost like strong women. Like
Yeah,
yeah, it's a
strong
level of
women and
that.
CrossFit is pretty close to each other. Just CrossFit is more on the endurance side. I think
Yeah,
both CrossFit and strongman, strong woman is more exciting to watch for the average person
yeah,
than say powerlifting, because powerlifting also can get repetitive. It's like this three same movements over and over.
yeah,
Um, I already spoke what I said about bodybuilding. So I'm
yeah,
what I'm kind of getting at too is with my muscle woman art, I'm transitioning. I don't just focus on bodybuilders. Matter of fact, I hardly ever focus on female bodybuilders anymore. Occasionally,
yeah,
there's a super beautiful one that pops and catches my eye, and then I'm like, maybe she'll help tag me in her story. But honestly, I'd love it for them to tag me in their post too. And I get kind of salty, not to lie, I get kind of salty when, like, for instance, Kiki, she posted it on her story and stuff. I invited her to be a collaboration on the post, but she didn't accept it. And
mm,
I mentioned to her, I was like, hey, if you want to share it on your post, it'd be great. So stuff like that's kind of like uh, discouraging. It's like you realize there's not a lot of appreciation for the work. They're gonna type in,
yeah,
they're gonna give you, oh, thank you, this is such an awesome piece, blah blah blah. But
yeah,
when it comes down to it, if you were to be like, hey, can you just go a little bit extra in showing support for the artist that put this out there, they don't do it.
yeah,
And this isn't just female bodybuilders. It's a lot of female bodybuilders, but it's a lot of just these muscle girls that have big followings on social media. In a way, they kind of
yeah,
view themselves, I think, as celebrities, or they're getting so many gifts from guys already that
yeah,
it just kind of it numbs their appreciation
yeah,
for what you.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I remember when I first like started going into social media, I would draw, female bodybuilders and stuff, and then post it on my Facebook and stuff like that. And some of them they would appreciate it, but it wasn't like anything further than that. It's not like they would just kind of I didn't and think long story short I didn't sense that supportness even back then. So but I don't know, I think it could sometimes, like when I didn't have anything to do, I would just draw muscle women. That would, like, I haven't been drawing in a while, but like but let but if something like just comes to me, I just find something like pictures or something like that, and I would just draw, like, so
Bro, they're
yeah,
stimulating. They're stimulating. Like
yeah,
when I draw a muscle woman, a lot of times nowadays I use more of my imagination to come up with my muscle woman.
yeah,
Occasionally, like you'll see ones like at the top here. That's her name is Christina Perrick. She's she's in Florida, and I think she's powerlift, or she's actually wellness, but she has a very thick muscular physique, which I think is
yeah,
amazing. So occasionally I'll draw one like that from reference, but other times I'll draw girls like that, but out of my own imagination. Like if I can share, I'm uh, I'm gonna try to see if I can keep it PG because I know
YouTube is
well, let me show you. So like I have like little cartoony ones like this
yeah,
girl.
yeah, this is
This is
cool.
all
That's
from
Yeah, that's
yeah.
cool.
She's from imagination. It's just imagination.
Yeah,
Um, Let me see. I got some. I did some. I was potentially trying to create a rival character for Besa, like so.
Mm.
This
Yeah,
little like anthropomorphic boxing squirrel or even kangaroo or kangaroo mouse type character. Um, so those
mm.
are um, those are sometimes a lot of the times the girls that I'll draw whenever I'm like uh, just you know here's one this is a funny one that you may like. I'm creating this I'm now expanding to where I'm trying to do a little funny comics. So I did like this little funny boxer one.
Yeah,
I'm so bad at angling this thingy.
yeah. I see it. It's cool. It's cool. How long did it take you to do that?
This one took like less than an hour. I was rushing. I was
Yeah, you
drunk.
rushing
I was
doing that? Like, wow.
yeah. I was drunk and I was in effort mode. I was like, man, I don't care to. I just want to get like something out there. So I just
But
did
you
that
inked
real
that
quick.
too. I noticed you inked it. Like
Yeah,
George
I
like
inked
it.
it.
He like it.
Thank you. That I mean, I'm thinking about doing more like a little funny comic, like where it's just one or two panels or three panels of like a buff girl, beating up, but kind of like smothering or making a little cute love to the small male opponent that she's kind of beating up on.
Mm.
And but here's the thing, if I'm sober, then I'm gonna be super analytical, and it'll take me way longer to do it, and usually it's gonna be way better because I'm putting much more mental effort into it. But whenever I'm like tipsy, like when I did that one, I was able to just hit that effort mode and be like, you know what, I don't care if it looks good. I'm gonna just do it, and then now when it's
Yeah,
done, I look at it, I'm like, oh, this came out cool, you know?
yeah. That's cool. Let me read this chat. George, he said it's an art to have patience and looking at the art of how the bodies are developed. And when I was at my first show, I got to talk with some ladies, a couple I did interviews. Yeah. And then he says, yeah, it can be a problem when you don't feel appreciated. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes I
Us
don't pay
artists
them.
are sensitive, man. Us artists are sensitive, man. I know that's a flaw of mine, and it's a flaw of just but it doesn't stop the feeling. Like I can tell myself that it's not right to feel this way. You can't, it can come across as being entitled whenever you put hard work into something and you feel other people don't appreciate it. But at the end of the day, it's also too. It's like, bro, like I got grown up. I got scrutinized. Like people don't realize throughout most of my life, I hid all my muscle woman drawings for fear that I would be called gay. My parents didn't like the stuff when they first saw it.
Yeah.
Now they see it and they're okay with it because they're like, he makes money from this stuff or it helps
Yeah.
draw attention to his brand. But I got scrutinized a lot. So there's a lot of emotional pain. And then it's like I hid it forever. And then I threw myself out there eventually
It's
and
a
started
smack in the
showing.
face.
Yeah, so it's a huge smack in the face. And
Yeah.
you explain it to there's a few women I've explained it to, like who really understand it. And I'll go ahead and throw one name out there, Alina Popa. Like she heard my story. Me and Alina are really cool. So
Yeah,
um,
you true. Yeah. I could show the drawing of her.
drawn her, I've drawn her several
Yeah.
times.
Yeah, she looked nice. I mean, Alina kind of stand out for me because I seen her in certain things, some videos, some. She did a session video, man. It ain't like a big deal, but that's why how she stood out for me. So yeah, just seeing her,
Yeah,
it's just stand out. Yeah,
that was from her back when she was competing and stuff. But yeah,
yeah,
I talked to her and shared with her like the artist struggle, and you could tell like she really empathized and she feels sorry. It felt good to be like seen or appreciated from someone who's a part of that world, and then she's
yeah,
also like it is. And she's one of the main ones that knows too that a lot of these women are very selfish, egotistical, So that's also, after I really had some cool conversations and stuff with her, I actually
Right.
started to become more picky on the women I choose to draw from the bodybuilding world. So it's like I got seen from one person from that world, and there's a few
Yeah.
other I've been seen from too. But then it caused me to lose, like, just because I see a muscle woman, now I'm like, oh, she's amazing, blah 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 blah. Like, matter of fact, earlier today at the market I was drawing at, it was a former female bodybuilder who came up there. Her name is Maya, and we just had a gentle conversation. But I wasn't trying to hit on her or anything like that, because it's cool she has muscles, but I'm not attracted to her, and she just thought the
Yeah.
art was cool. So it's kind of like good to just see them
Yeah.
as a normal person too, versus viewing them as
Yeah.
this incredible goddess. Because when you get to meet
Yeah.
most of their personalities, you realize these are not goddesses; these are the
They just
opposite.
women. That's it. I mean, yeah, I noticed
Well, they're not just women,
like
bro. Go ahead, go
no,
ahead. I'm sorry.
I was about to say, like, I noticed, like, when I do like videos and stuff, like I put things together and I see things in the comments. Like I see these a lot of the guys, they say the same thing, like they're beautiful, and it ain't too nothing wrong with it, but it's like it's the same thing, or they're a goddess, and that's what they're hooked on. Like it's almost
You're
like
messing these women's heads up. You're messing their heads up. You keeping
yeah,
on calling them goddesses and all this, because a
yeah,
lot of them, I don't care who you are, you keep getting told that you're the shit.
yeah,
Eventually, you are gonna smell yourself and be like, "Yeah, I'm the shit." And
mm,
it takes a lot of self discipline and humility to actually ground yourself and be like, "I got all these dudes on the internet telling me I'm the shit every fucking day,
yeah,
and now I have to realize, like, I'm just another human being like the rest." And a lot of these
yeah,
girls, because a lot of younger and don't have a lot of experience in the world, they do feel that way about themselves, and so it shows in their lack of personality. And another thing too, I'm one of those dudes. I'm not gonna lie. Even when I was younger, we're talking about when I was a teenager and I first came across the forum boards and stuff.
yeah,
The stuff that I would read, most of the schmoes, every time like a woman had a post or anything, it was always the same. Oh, can I worship? Blah blah blah. And I'm just like, you motherfucker, you MFers are boring, and you heard it for guys like me who want to have deep, cool conversations beyond the muscle. Yeah, we can play with the muscle stuff later on. Like
yeah,
I love tussling with a strong woman, but when we actually talk and get to know each other as people, let's explore more about what this world is about, the stuff that we've experienced and seen, and you know, and let's have fun too in our conversation, our dialogue, whatever. Let's not always immediately start talking about the same old, oh, you're a goddess. And I see it too. Every time I post a drawing of one of these women, when they do share it on their post, and if I'm tagged in on the collaborator, I see all the comments too, and I'm just like, you, it's just boring. And if I
yeah.
was a girl that was getting that all day every day, I'm pretty sure it would turn me into a shallow narcissist as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just even muscle women, but it's women. Period. I noticed. Like when you feed things, because it's like when you pedalize them, they don't pay attention to you, and I've experienced that, man. A lot of times, I would just always focus on looks, and I got pretty much I got burned by it and stuff. I mean, I still got those thoughts and fantasies and admiring and stuff like that, but after a while, it just kind of like, damn, this is corny, man. Like, so yeah,
I guess what, you recognizing that there are plenty of women, female muscle people who will recognize if you're able to see. Honestly, a lot of them, or the ones that I've encountered, they actually dig more when those of us who get put in the schmo category can recognize the stupid behavior of other schmoes. And then I've noticed some of the best, or it opens them up, because then they're like, okay, this dude is a critical thinker. He's not like the rest of these dudes that worship muscle women. he actually has a critical brain, and subconsciously, I think they're telling themselves too, he won't sell out to me just because he's so enamored for my muscle. Like a lot of these women can sense that these guys are so attracted to my muscles, they'll do anything. They will sell their soul for me. And I
Yeah,
think subconsciously that actually sends a red flag to the woman's like biological nature. And I think her her defense mechanisms start to kick in, and she's like, I don't trust you to mess with like me.
yeah.
So a lot of
Have
these
you
females
met
don't
guys
realize.
like that? Have you
I've
encountered
seen them.
guys like?
I've seen them in person. There was one time, it was me and this strong woman named Gabby, the Austrian Oaktress. I met her at the Savannah Strongman show several years ago. I drew her. We basically went on a date after that. It was cool. Um, and there were some other strongman people in like this little club after party that we went to, but me and her were at a separate table just chatting.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then this one dude kept passing by and kind of hovering over our table several times.
Mm.
And I could tell he was being a creeper. And it made Gabby uncomfortable. And so eventually, like, when he passed by one more time, I got up and went and I said, "Hey, bro, I need you to stop passing by our table. Because, I can tell you're basically stalking." And it's like, I didn't threaten or anything like that. Did it very cordial, but he got the message, went away. But those types of encounters are what some of these women experience on a pretty, I won't say every day, but a regular basis. And even me, I was creeped out by it. I was like, man, this motherfucker's getting on my nerves hard. So imagine too, and just because these girls have lots of muscle doesn't mean that they feel inner confidence that they can go like fight and defend themselves if a dude like that were to attack them. So
Right.
I remember Gabby was extremely, she was impressed that I went and did it, and then it made her like me even more. Because I'm just like, look, man, like dudes like that give dudes like me a bad reputation. It's like you think now, subconsciously, you're gonna think now like any dude that likes muscle woman is gonna be this creepy lurker dude is gonna let me just see what you're doing. So it's
Yeah, I don't know, man. Sometimes, I mean, I be wondering, like, they probably don't get, that interaction with women, and so they see these women with muscles. It's like they just kind of lose themselves. That's how I don't
yeah.
know.
I can't be hypocritical because when I first went to bodybuilding shows and stuff, when I was 19 when I went to my first expo. Actually, it was the Europa Dallas. I didn't do that per se, but with certain ones that I saw that super stimulated me, yes, I watched them from a distance. So I even remember one who seemed like she was kind of interested in me, but I was too young to really. Her name was Jill Brooks. She was beautiful.
Joe Bucks.
I wasn't confident enough to approach her, but I saw her several times over the course of years, and every time we saw each other, we made like prolonged eye contact with each other. But I didn't have the confidence, and I think that's what a lot of the smokers were lacking. Now, if I was to see her nowadays, especially now that I've rubbed shoulders with more muscle women, then yeah, I'd be like, hey, what's up? Would you? I see you a couple times. Would you be interested in chatting over a drink or something?
Yeah,
Uh,
and I think that's the thing too. They probably don't know what to say, and they do say something. It's gonna be the same thing, or it's gonna be boring, and they
mm-hmm.
might the women might not be interested in them, or they just gonna have them in the friend zone or something like that. So yeah.
Yep.
So
Yeah,
George,
it is true.
George says I met Alina, and then he says women just want a man to be a man. That don't want anyone who they push around. Remember the time in my interview with Mandy? Yeah, I remember that. I commend him on that. Yeah, like he was interviewing this chick that I interviewed before, and they was going at it about sexualization, and she used to do sessions and all that stuff. Yeah, and then so she just started seeing how corrupt the industry is, and so she kind of fell. back off of it. So she was like more into this spiritual, path. And so him, her and George, they got into it about she was saying that the guys they turn. I'm gonna say it in my own way that the guys was a bit of a turn off, like they're just going for the flesh and they're not seeing the person inside and all that stuff. And so
Right.
George got a little, I would say offended by it because he was reaching out to her and he's just talking to her, and he was telling her like, look, I like them too, and yes, I jerked off too at times, because I appreciate you women with muscles and stuff like that. I've been a fan for he been a fan for like 30 years and stuff like that. And so, she just didn't pay it no mind. And then he was saying something, and I think she wanted to like dominate the conversation, but he told her like, I let you talk, now you have to let me talk. And I'm like, yeah, George. I ain't
Well,
never seen that. That was like the best part I seen George just actually do that, man. I was like, yeah, George, let her know.
I'll have to check out the conversation on another day. But I
Yeah,
will say, like, I don't time and place for everything. You don't want to be telling girls that you were jerking off to their images and stuff like that. I
no,
think
but
like
I get what he's saying, but
that's put it up.
I get I get what he's saying. He was just being real, like because
Yeah,
he was
you can be
saying,
real, but have a filter. Have a filter. Like, see,
yeah, yeah,
one of the things that these girls. So you already know that the girls view all men or a lot of the guys that like them as schmoes. Be careful with what you want to articulate to them. You can get to
yeah,
that type of stuff like deeper in the conversation. What I will say, George is right that a lot of the strong, confident women, the confident ones, do want, if they're interested in guys, they're interested in men who are strong and confident, and they don't want to boss them around. There is a segment of these women who are users, and they do want the men that they can boss around because those are the dudes it's easy to take the money because
mm,
all they want to do is get pictures of all this other stuff, or if they're out on a date with them. I've seen several times where dudes were paying just to be on a date with some of these top women because you could tell they had no interest in each other. The woman, or usually the female bodybuilder, had no interest in the dude, and the dude was like a lanky, nerdy guy. But basically paid not just for like did all the stuff that you normally a man does when you're paying for drinks and where to go and all that, but he literally shelled out hundreds, if not even thousands of dollars just to actually he's paying her to be on the date with him as if it was like a session or something. That is like those types of women are users and they don't really care about what we kind of think of as normal man woman relationships. They're just kind of like, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna be a vampire. I'm
they're
gonna suck
predatory, predatory,
exactly.
yeah,
And there's
predatory,
a lot
yeah,
of them in this industry. There is a lot of them in this industry because this industry breeds a high level of narcissistic people. That's just the nature of um, egomaniacal, manipulative, narcissistic people. And that's one of the things why I think we, as guys that like female muscle, we have to start really putting our filters on and scanning like, is she a user? Is she someone that just views all men as worthless schmoes? Because truth be told, no matter how much you try to impress her, she's not going to look at you any different. She's just going to be like,
yeah,
okay, I can really toy and pull him. She has to come through her own development in life to get her to change that perspective. I know this because Alina has told me this, where several of the women, when they were younger, had a much more skewed view of the world. And then when they hit their 40s, usually after retiring, whatever, they get more grounded and they realize like, you know what, I'm it's wrong the behavior of me trying to just be predatory on these men and play on their deep fetishes just to, basically hold a carrot in front of them and never really give them play. Because too, even if you get the sex with them, if deep down she really doesn't want to see you again or anything like that, you're not going to feel emotionally fulfilled, you know. So there's um, there's a level of a deep level of psychology that goes into the relationship between us men that love muscle women and then the muscle women themselves, how they took on the craft to become what they became, but then also how they view a lot of men. Some of them were abused growing up. Some of them, and not just physically, you're talking about emotionally, verbally, called fat if they were heavier, or called too skinny, all these other things. Maybe were abused by their boyfriends or father figures. So some of them, quite a few, have very negative um, perspectives on men. And it's kind of like, well, you all screwed me over in the past. Now it's my chance. Now y'all all love me. Look how pretty I am. And I see that a lot on Instagram. You see a lot of them post pictures of what they looked like before when they were not in
Yeah.
shape.
Yup.
They like,
Yeah.
look,
They was
listen,
horrible.
back then y'all used to, yeah, there's Mike Jones. Back then didn't want me. Now I'm hot, y'all. They all on me. And they post that, and
Yeah.
that shows very toxic mindset because now they're beautiful and they want to weaponize that against all the men who in the past rejected them.
Yeah. I mean, do you think it's just them, like bodybuilders? But I know
Oh, no,
specifically
no,
you just talk.
if you're a bodybuilding, interview channel, so that's, and
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
feature a lot of them. I hone in on the muscle women because it's a small niche community that's very readily apparent.
Yeah.
But yes,
Right.
if you expand it to all women, not all, let's not say all in the whole world,
A
but
lot of
in
women. A lot of women.
a lot of women in Western society. So we're talking
Yeah.
about America, developed countries, be growing up with the Hollywood images that get fed to them get fed to all of us since an early age, as well as if you listen to a lot of the music subconsciously is teaching women to hate men, like the girls like, what's it called? Not
Destiny
hate,
Child.
not, well, yeah, I mean, but even then, there's subtle,
You gotta
but it's
have a
been going on for a long time.
J-O-B if you wanna be with me. That type of shit. That I remember I heard
Yeah,
that when I was a kid. That song that just stands out because this girl she was winding her body and stuff like to that song. I was in the school bus and she was hearing that song and she was just going crazy. She was losing herself with that song.
but yeah, to that is an example of it. But the girls like the Sexy Reds and the
Yeah,
Cardi B's and all that. But here's the thing too. Let's not just point the finger at them. Men in the music industry were doing it for a long time. Like if you go
yeah,
look at hip hop, mainstream hip hop, especially from the '90s and 2000s, was all about degrading and using women. So we had several decades of that, of training men to abuse women, and then now it's flipped to where it's more women being trained to abuse men
yeah.
psychologically.
You're a little
And
blurry.
my bad, I don't know why. I didn't do
Yeah,
anything. But um, the the power right now is more with women because their currency right now is social gratification. Just looking good on pictures. You, a woman who looks good, at least in the internet world, is going to be able to get much more gifts, money, etc., versus a guy who, quote unquote, looks good or um, shows off that he has a lot of money. Like there's just way more dudes out there, lonely guys who will do anything just to get a chance to talk to a girl. So they'll throw on $50 or 100, to cash app, all this other stuff, hit their link tree, and do, of course, their OnlyFans and all that. But there's a lot of girls that don't need to even do OnlyFans. There's so many guys that'll reach out and give them that.
yeah,
That's spoiling and training them to, you know, basically just be like, okay, every man I meet, if he's interested in me, he's just a bank. He's just an ATM for me, you know? And then when you become a man who's not like that, because me, I've been on several dates where I sense that behavior